Okay, everyone, it is 11 a.m., so we're going to go ahead and get started today. My name is Tyson. I'm with the IDX Broker Technical Support Team, and I'm here with Alec, also from the IDX Broker Tech Support Team. And today we're going to be going over easy solutions to common issues with IDX Broker. So the things that we're going to be going over today are cross-domain font issues, custom subdomains, missing listings, troubleshooting your wrappers, and then agent and Office Ids. So these are the most common issues that we run into on the support team and the most frequent calls that we tend to take, as well as the most frequent email tickets that we get in. So we're going to go over how to resolve these on your own and how to troubleshoot them as well. If you're running into cross-domain font issues, first, if you noticed in the left sidebar right here, this image right here, where it looks sort of like Asian characters. If you're using a Firefox browser, typically this is what a cross-domain font issue is going to look like. If you're using Google Chrome browser, it's probably going to look like just a square box instead of like an arrow or a magnifying glass or the font that you're trying to use. Basically what's happening is you're using a font either on your servers or as part of your theme that we do not have saved on our servers, which causes it to break when you go to IDX pages, and it shows up kind of funny. So the most common solution to this is to use what's called Font Awesome. So if you go to support.idxbroker.com, and in the search box, if you type in the word awesome, it'll bring up the Troubleshooting Missing Fonts document. In there, you'll find the bootstrap code for the Font Awesome fix. What you'll want to do is take these 3 lines that start right here with link href and the netDNA bootstrap. Take these 3 lines and you're going to place them just below the title tags in your global wrapper. If you're using a dynamic wrapper, this will be done on the WordPress side in the text editor where it says text and not visual. And if you're using a static wrapper on the IDX Broker dashboard, then it will be posted as it's showing on your screen now. If this solution does not work, Font Awesome is typically the font used to display icons. There's also a couple others such as Icomoon or Elegant Font as well. If the Font Awesome fix does not work for you, then you'll have to move on to the htaccess fix, which is located in that same document. Basically, it will give you some lines of code that you'll want to add to the htaccess file, and you can find that with the file extension .htaccess. And of course, if you run into any issues trying to add that code to your global wrapper or to the htaccess file, please don't hesitate to give our support team a call, and we'll be able to walk you through it, or shoot us an email at help@idxbroker.com, or if you're a developer or have a developer partner, developers@idxbroker.com. So moving on, the next thing that we're going to cover is custom subdomains. If you're setting up a custom subdomain and you've noticed that you're getting a 404 error or a page not found error when going to IDX pages, a couple things could be happening. This is a very common problem. So the first thing you're going to want to do is check your DNS records. The easiest place to do that would be to go to centralops.net. It is a free DNS lookup tool that we use on our support team. You can also use any other free DNS lookup tools just by Googling free DNS lookup on google.com. So the first 2 things you're going to want to look for is first, you're going to make sure that your CNAME record is set up correctly. So your CNAME record should look like this. The CNAME should say subdomains.idxbroker.com, and then your alias should be your custom subdomain that you want to set up. So in this example, it is homes.tjlam.com. So the next thing you'll want to check is propagation times. After you add your CNAME and your alias to your DNS records, it can take anywhere from 15 minutes up to 48 hours for those changes to propagate, depending on the DNS provider. The typical turnaround time is about an hour or 2, though. So if you're using more prominent host providers such as GoDaddy, Bluehost, HostGator, etc., probably looking at 1 to 2 hour turnaround time on propagation max. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, they tend to propagate those changes within 1 to 2 hours. So next, we're going to go over missing listings. So the way that our software pulls in featured listings from the MLS is through the agent IDs and the office IDs. So for every listing, the MLS is going to assign a random generated number to that listing, and then also that listing will be attached to an agent ID and an office ID that the MLS also assigns. So we are only able to display featured listings from the primary listing agent and not the co-listing agent. So if you notice you're missing a featured listing, first thing I would check is make sure your agent is the primary listing agent and not a co-listing agent. If you're missing a listing and your agent is the co-lister, you might want to add them as a primary listing agent or add the co-listing agent as an agent in your office, and then that listing will display as featured as well. So the first thing you'll want to do when you encounter missing listings is you'll want to check your IDs. So first, if you go to your IDX Broker dashboard and go to Preferences, Featured IDs, and then click on Agent IDs, it'll bring up the list of agents that are currently attached to your office. So if you see a check mark next to your agents, then those agents are added. If you notice that you're missing listings from an agent that is not added to the MLS, click the checkbox next to their name, add them, a box will pop up, click Run this wizard again, and you'll be good to go. Another possibility is that you're using Office IDs. So Office IDs work a little bit different than agent IDs, and they're really great for larger offices. However, there are some limitations. So with Office IDs, let's say you have a 10 to 50 agent office account. Office IDs are going to grab those first 50 agents without any consideration as to whether or not those are the agents you want to add. If you only have 50 agents in your office, this is great. You don't have to manually go by and check all of them. However, if you have more than 50 agents in your office and you want to be able to select which 50 are being added, you will have to switch over to agent IDs and manually select them. So checking the IDs would be the first thing to take into consideration if you're missing listings. If all of those look correct, the next thing you'll want to check is when the listing was added. If it was added in the last 24 hours, log into your IDX Broker dashboard and look at your dashboard widget to see when the MLS most recently updated. If the MLS has updated since you've added your listing, then that's definitely an issue on our end, and please give us a call on our support line or shoot us an email at help@idxbroker.com, or if you have a developer or are a developer, you can shoot that email to developers@idxbroker.com. And then the last thing that you'll want to list or that you'll want to check, if the agent IDs are correct, the office IDs are correct, the listing was added, the feed is run for the day, and you're still missing your listing, at that point what you'll want to do is send an email to either help@idxbroker.com, or if you are a developer or have a developer partner, then send that email to developers@idxbroker.com with the following information. We'll need the name of the agent whose listing it is and the MLS ID of that listing. And make sure when you send us this email that it is the primary listing agent. This will allow us to search our system internally and add it as super user on our back end manually. And normally we will be able to get those issues resolved pretty quickly unless there's an issue going on with the data, in which case we will have to put in our ticket with the data team. Okay, so that's missing listings. Now moving along to wrappers. So in your IDX Broker dashboard, on the left-hand sidebar, you'll see a little dashboard widget, and it'll have the name of your MLS as well as a date and a time. That date and time is when that feed most recently updated. So if you notice that date and time says 8 a.m. Today, then that's fantastic. If you notice that date and time says 8 a.m. 3 days ago, you might want to give us a call and ask us why that is. So yeah, those are definitely some things to consider. Thanks for asking, Jim. That was a great question. Okay, so moving on to wrappers. So wrappers are how we integrate our search tools into your site. And there's a couple things to consider if you are running into issues with your wrappers. So first is to consider the wrapper hierarchy. Anything that you put in the global wrapper is going to apply to all IDX pages across the board. However, categories will override global just for those categories, and pages will override categories and global just for those pages. So it's important to understand the wrapper hierarchy when you're setting up wrappers, just to make sure that you get the look and feel that you're searching for when building out your site. Next thing to consider is navigation and menus. So whenever you ask for a wrapper update or you're doing a wrapper update yourself, you want to make sure that all of your navigation is correct, your menus are correct, your header and footer is correct, and your sidebars are correct. Because all of those through the wrapper are going to be pulled into all of your IDX pages. So you want to make sure that it looks the same as you want it to look on all of the IDX pages. Next thing to consider is post versus pages. This is especially if you're creating a global wrapper, a dynamic wrapper, using the Impress for IDX Broker plugin. So using the plugin, it is going to create a custom post method for creating the wrapper. There's also a way to create a page as a template and create a wrapper that way by manually adding the IDX start and IDX stop tags. Both of those will work. However, there is a little bit of a difference in function. So the page wrappers, the one thing to keep in mind for that is over time it will slow down your site because it's constantly reloading that page, reloading that page, reloading that page. That's just part of the limitations of WordPress. Whereas if you use a post, which is the preferred WordPress method, you're not going to run into those same issues. However, there are some situations, depending on the theme, that will bring over the sidebars and blog content from that post. So in those cases, you may want to consider using the page option instead. If that's not the case and it's not bringing over the blog content, I would definitely recommend the post option because it'll be better for your system. So just some things to consider. Missing images. If you notice that you're missing images in your wrapper, the biggest thing you'll want to look for is to make sure that all of your links are absolute and not relative. We'll go over that in a minute. And then the final thing would be scripting conflicts. So any kind of code minifying plugins, any kind of caching plugins such as W3 cache, you'll want to make sure that those are disabled when checking your wrapper. Sometimes those can cause problems within the script. If both of those are good, then what you'll want to do is go into your wrapper and just start commenting out pieces of JavaScript and or jQuery one at a time until you're able to find the solution. Normally, checking for console errors is the easiest way to find out which pieces of script that you'll want to comment out. Okay, so moving along, this is again just reiterating the wrapper hierarchy. So there's the global, categories, pages. Save links kind of works similarly. So save links are going to override pages, categories, and global just for those save links. So just a quick refresher on that. So a couple of quick questions to ask yourself when you're troubleshooting your wrapper. Is the navigation correct on non-IDX pages? If it's correct on non-IDX pages but is not correct on IDX pages, then that is a wrapper issue. You just need to update your wrapper. Is the header and footer the same on non-IDX pages as it is on IDX pages? If it's not the same, then you need a wrapper update. If it is the same, you should be good to go. Are your menus the same on non-IDX pages? So, similarly. So just check your navigation, header, footer, menus, sidebars. You'll want them to look the same on IDX pages as they do on the rest of your site. If they don't, then it's likely that you need a wrapper update. Missing images. Missing images will typically show up like this little icon here, the one that looks like a broken page. Depending on the browser, sometimes they'll show up a little bit differently, but generally speaking, that's how they're going to display. Typically, one of two things is happening when this occurs. Either one, the links are not fully qualified. So, for example, it'll have image.jpg as the URL instead of www.clientsite/image.jpg, for example, right? So in computer terms, basically what that means is it's saying, hey, go 2 blocks down and the building you're looking for will be on your right. Well, as soon as you move that starting point, 2 blocks down and on the right is no longer the same place. And so essentially, it gets lost and it doesn't know how to pull that image. So make sure your links are fully qualified. If the link is fully qualified in your wrapper, the next thing to do would be to pull out that image link and try to go to that URL directly and make sure it's a working link. if that link is not working or there are no images that are located at that link or that are being hosted on that link, then that's going to show up as a broken link as well. So just a couple things to consider. So okay, so those are wrappers in a nutshell. So moving along to agent and Office IDs. So just to reiterate a little bit of what we went over during the missing listings portion, agent and Office IDs are super important, and it's super important to use them the way that they were intended. So Office IDs, these are typically better for larger offices. So if you have a larger office, I would say any more than 10 or even 20 agents, I would definitely recommend using Office IDs when possible. And again, the way that Office IDs work is depending on your user level, your multi-user level, it will grab the first IDs within that user level. So if you have a 50 agent account and you have 30 agents that you want to add, Office IDs would be the way to go. They're going to grab those first 50 agents. You only have 30. Fantastic. All 30 are going to automatically be added. What you run into trouble with this, though, is if you have more agents than in your office than your required user level. So, for example, if you have a 20 user level but only 10 agents that you want to add, using Office IDs is not going to be the best way to go because they're going to grab the first 10 agents without any consideration as to which 10 you want to add. So in those cases, you're really going to want to switch over to agent IDs and manually select which agents you want to connect to the account. So that's about all we got for now. So at this point, we'll go ahead and open up any questions that you have. Okay, so we got a question here. I want to create a save link that automatically updates itself based on specific criteria, such as single-family homes in specific neighborhood that have parking spaces. Absolutely. So the easiest way to do this with the save links, you can create them by going to Preferences, Save Links, Create. When using your search page, I would use the custom search so that you can use the advanced search page. And then from there, you'll just select single-family homes and parking spaces as your criteria. If you notice that you don't have that criteria listed when you're building out your save link, you'll want to go to Designs, Pages, and then next to Advanced Search in the Customize section where it says Wrappers, Subheaders, and then Fields, you'll want to click on Fields and then add those advanced fields from there, so that parking spaces is now an included criteria that you're able to add on your save link. Okay, fantastic. It was wonderful having all of you here with us today. And again, please, if you have any issues, questions, concerns, anything that comes up later on that you wish you would have asked, please feel free to shoot us an email at help@idxbroker.com. Or if you're a developer partner or have a developer partner, go ahead and shoot an email to developers@idxbroker.com. And we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all next week.